start recording. And then I'm going to okay. Is this the right spot to stand?
This is chair back.
The chair? Yep. Okay. David, am I in the right spot? Okay. How many of you know Murphy? How many people know about Murphy's Law? Yes. How many people know that if you test something yesterday and it worked great, it's not going to work great today? David, I don't know if you can see the people in Zoom. You can change it to the gallery. People, if you out on Zoom land, if you can hear me, please wave. Okay, David's got some people waiting, so we're going out on Zoom. We thought we had speakers working here to give us a lot better sound. I'm going to also use this. This I think helps a little bit. We will get the meeting underway here momentarily. There's my off-scene technician. Charles, go ahead, real quick. Okay. Okay. Yep. We got to go. We got to get this going. Thanks, Mike. A report from offsite says things are coming through, but a suggestion or two, but we're going to just bubble on through. And we came out here, and in an hour or so, we had everything working. But Murphy is alive and well. First of all, hopefully, if you brought stuff, how many people brought stuff to show? Like a good dozen or so? Okay, and I'm counting as 2 people. Doug, if you fill a card out for me, and then 1 for Mark. Welcome to the August 2024 meeting of the 1904 World's Fair Society. Of course, you know who I am, Mike Truex, and this is the Olympic year, 120th anniversary of the World's Fair and 38th anniversary of the Society. It's our members meeting, and we're going to have a lot of people up here telling us and showing us about their treasures and stuff. You will be the meeting, and we will show them. You can show them to the audience that's here and hand them down to us, and on that little thing under the light there, we'll project it up on the screen so that everybody here can see it bigger and everybody in Zoom land can see it bigger. We have several attendance prizes to give away tonight, various buttons of the World's Fair made by Director Holly Childers. Did everybody sign up for an attendance prize, I hope? If not, you can run back and fill a card out. A couple of quick announcements and administrative reminders. Please be sure and silence your cell phone. I'm an exception so that my offsite reporter can tell me if things break. A reminder for in-person attendees, the pictures are allowed, but please no flash photos during the presentation. To ask questions, if you're here in person, feel free to raise your hand and ask a question, and we'll try to make sure to repeat your question and get you the microphone. We had a couple of extra microphones working real good yesterday, and they don't seem to be cooperating today. For Zoom attendees, we'll be watching the chat room for questions, and you can ask questions by typing them into the chat area. I first want to pass on a sad announcement to everyone that I did last month at Glen Echo. I think most people have heard by now that Mark Eisenberg passed away suddenly on July 30th, longtime society member. He knew so much about St. Louis history and the World's Fair. He loved to bring and serve ice cream cones at our annual picnics, and I know we will all miss him. A celebration of Mark's life will be held this Saturday, August 17th, 5 to 8 p.m. at the St. Louis Ethical Society. That's at 9001 Clayton Road, just west of Brentwood near the Galleria. Check out our Facebook group with over 6,000 members. There's always postings about the fair, and our Instagram Holly also posts a lot of unusual views. I don't know how she finds all those views to post, but there's over 1,000 followers there. I want to make sure we're recording, and I believe so we are. I want to set the stage very briefly by looking back to Saturday, August 13th, 1904, 120 years ago today. Secretary of War William Howard Taft arrived for the Philippine Day festivities. He had served as the Governor General of the Philippines after Spain ceded the Philippines to the U.S. in 1898. He reviewed one of the longest parades and the best military displays ever presented. Taft would later become president and serve as a Supreme Court justice, the only person to ever hold both of those offices, not simultaneously. Chief George Hale, proprietor of Hale's Firefighters on the Pike, threatened to close his concession on the Pike. Guards made him move a fire engine that was being used for advertising at the main entrance. Hale said they were enforcing restrictions only on him and not on other concessions. The director of concessions and admissions, Norris Gregg, said that he would resolve the problem. Finally, Mrs. Breckenridge Jones died when her horses bolted near the Boer War exhibit. She was one of the best-known society women in St. Louis. Her carriage hurtled over a 20-foot embankment. She was married to Breckenridge Jones, the first vice president of the Mississippi Valley Trust Company, the leading St. Louis bank. Breckenridge was one of the 15 original organizers of the World's Fair, and he also served on the board of the directors of the Louisiana Purchase Exposition Company. The bank's majestic single-story building still sits at 401 Pine on the northwest corner of Pine and 4th Street. Now I introduce Doug Stone. Doug has been serving as our Director of Works for the last 6 or 7 years.
It's working.
He's going to call members up to show their memorabilia one by one and tell us a story about the item. And I'm going to start off real quick. I have something I want to share with you.
Right. Mike's up first.
Mark Eisenberg had marked a couple, 2 or 3 things in his house to be passed to us, and his brother, Norman, let me know that one of the things he passed on to us was a history of the Louisiana Purchase Exposition. And hopefully this is about the right place here. This is the Bennett book. I don't know how many of you have actually seen a Bennett book or held one. 7 or 8 pounds, Phil, do you think?
Please.
At least. Wouldn't want to pay shipping and handling on it. 800 pages, 4,000 pictures. It lists all the directors, and it's a really neat read, to browse, and a really neat reference. Our plan is that I think Mark would appreciate is to auction this at our picnic next year to the highest bidder, because we don't often get one of these to share, and I think Mark would be really pleased if it ended up with a member of the society who would appreciate it and enjoy looking at it occasionally. So that's a show and tell from the item, Mark Eisenberg, and I'm going to put it over on the table there for people to look at afterwards. Over to you.
Okay. If I can stay out of all these wires. Steve Schmitz has an item, Wrecking Company Employee Badge, Festival Hall Cascades, Painting, and Postcards from Blanky Coffin. Steve? Stand right in front of the chair, sure, I'll be able to see you, and then you can play on the screen.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
I don't want to fall apart.
It won't. This is my collection of employee badges from the Chicago House Wrecking Company. And I'm under the impression, I don't know for a fact, but I believe that not necessarily these particular badges, but badges of this nature run by some of the employees other Viking company at the exposition. They probably designated them as a boss or foreman or something of that nature, because the others, there were over thousands that were employed at the time they were salvaging the fair, had passes that would allow them to get into fairgrounds every day as a worker. I'm sure they weren't issuing these type of badges to thousands of men. So they're numbered. The lowest number I have is 110, what that means, but it may indicate that it's 110 of the ones that. This is something that I have brought along.
Steve, if you hand it to me, I'll put it on the big screen.
I don't know much about postcards. There's someone here that knows a lot about postcards. I've seen this blank aerial globe card, lower right-hand corner here. It's pretty common, I think, but I didn't know that there were a series of cards, blank cards. So I have 8 of them total cards here. Interest is that this, Mike knows a lot about the blank globe. Never came to fruition at all. It was really more or less a hoax. This gentleman was the baron of coffee country really at that time, and selling shares to have this thing built for the fair, but he never raised enough funds at a time, and so he got it with the money. And also in 1904, then he went to Chicago and tried to do the same thing and sold shares, never brought it to fruition. In 1907, he went to Coney Island and the same thing. But he actually poured a foundation and put a steel rod of some kind into it, so people thought that it was coming along nicely. And I don't know how much money he got away with there, but these are the detail on these cards is very nice. So that's that. Last but not least, when I got this, I don't think it's ever been out of this box. Some of you have probably seen this before, but in addition to this, it's the it's Festival Hall in the Cascades, Colonnades Estates, condos. I believe it's a reverse painting. I can't be certain.
It's
reverse painted on glass. Beautiful condition, and the stand on it. Like I said, I don't think it's ever been out of the box. Real fine for me. Anyway. We also have
If you stand over here, I'll show it on the camera for a couple minutes and then we can put them on the table.
Forward.
Okay. I can zoom it down a little bit too.
Or zoom it up or whatever. These lights didn't reflect yesterday either. So honestly, we looked at this. When you dim the lights, you can't see the person that's in front of the camera. Other dim. Oh, still on.
The light that's over there.
Okay,
I think it's the light on your.
That's all there. Make it slide on. That we had turned off before. Oh, we didn't do it either.
That's the light that's over it. You've got to angle it for that.
I tried turning it off. Okay, let's move forward. Let's just ignore all the issues that we have. And let's have Mary Ellen Dick come up, talk about her paperweight. Oh, there we go. Award and 2 coins. You'll stand right about here. Try to act like I'm holding a microphone for you.
Okay.
Well, that way we can get your beautiful face and
Close,
your.
need to get close to the mic.
All right. The items I brought, I purchased from an auction of, I've forgotten the man who was a big collector. Who collected all the World's Fair?
There was a lot,
Catalog. We have a catalog.
Bill Peaver,
New
Chuck Wasserman.
folder. Hendershot, thank you. An auction of Hendershot things. I don't know that these were from him or from his collection that other people have. My first item is a paperweight. It is celluloid on the inside, and on the outside are two pictures, one of Festival Hall, Cascades, and the Cascades. The other side is Thomas Jefferson and Napoleon. And those are just sort of stickers or something. I'm not sure exactly what they're made from.
Here,
So you,
So I think that the picture, I think, is separate. It appears to be, it could be like a decal, it could be a picture, it's on the inside. My second item is identified as a gold award, an exhibit award, a gold medal. It's obviously in the shape of a shield. Whoops, a shield. One side has, the side I'm looking at has two female figures. The taller and older one is sort of covering the younger one with either a cape or a cloth of some kind. I'm thinking it might represent France and the United States, but I don't know. The side has an eagle on it, and underneath it, it says Gold Award Museum Purchase Exposition. I think these were given out to exhibitors kind of freely, even,
no,
even though it says Gold Award inside. I think it's
Yeah.
probably
Mike.
grass. Oh, I'm forgetting that
that way
you
everyone.
have to see, yeah, nobody has seen them when I'm. Okay, my last two items are what I identified as coins, but they're not, they're the smallest ones that I brought. I'll show the other one in just a minute. This is just a medallion. It has four figures on it. One of them being an American Indian in the back says St. Louis, 1904. America welcomes the world. So I think it was probably just a souvenir that a person would buy. The second one, tinier, and it has the head of a woman. She kind of appears like she might be the goddess Ceres. And on the back it says 1803, Louisiana Purchase Exposition, St. Louis, 1904.
Just put it down there.
Those are my things, and I'm showing these because these are for sale. Anyone who might be interested. You can find me in the bulletin amongst the officers. Oh, it doesn't even. Oh. That's it. Hard to get it sharp, isn't it? Bedside.
Bill, isn't that Ceres, the god of
Agriculture.
agriculture? Yeah.
Or farming. Well, that's what I thought it was. She has wheat in her hair, so
Yep.
I just jumped to that conclusion.
You have the other part of that.
I do. Yes. Now, where's the other parts? Down
They're over
here. Here.
Okay, next up is Jim Weimers with Ferris Wheel Music and Magazine.
Okay.
Questions, David?
All right, we're gonna put Jim's items underneath the camera first. Everybody in the room can see them then, and everybody online.
Okay.
You can handle that.
Yes, I can handle that. Anybody who knows me very much knows that sheet music is my thing. Now, before you get carried away, this is not our World's Fair. I have like 85 different sheet music covers. Not one shows this, the Ferris wheel. Observation, what is it? How did that come about? Observation wheel, because this is this is the very first time it appeared in Chicago, and it is called Ferris wheel. And I don't know for real sure how accurate, it's just really a nice drawing. And if you look way down here at the bottom, that's Mr. Ferris.
Yeah.
So, and it was published by the Ferris Wheel Company in Chicago. And let's see, it was music by Flyforth, words by Sturgis, and it's dedicated to Margaret Ferris. So whenever you're done looking at that, you can kind of flip it over to, this is just another one that's from the Chicago. That here down here, you can see the wheel. I don't know again how accurate the depiction this is, but you can see it on here. And like I said, I don't see any on any of my St. Louis music. So, but I think Mike said the wheel actually came a little bit later than the fair opening. So, so all this music a lot of times was produced ahead of time. So, so if the wheel wasn't there, it never made it onto the cover of songs. So then the next one, which actually is the same picture, but it's a different song. And so, but it's such a nice, you can see a little bit color difference on it. But this one is actually a polka and a waltz. And I won't, I can leave the words out. There are two of these that have words on it. Well, if you look quite carefully down at the bottom, the person who owns it, Dora Ward, who's from Webster Groves. I don't know, anybody's relative or not here? I better mention
Karen,
that.
do you know Doris? Karen, I figured you might know.
Well, I'm sure this is somebody who's not with us anymore for a long time. Well, but they might know some, yeah, they know the name and the last name. But anyway, the words, I won't go into spend the time on the words. I know we got other people coming. But the one song, it talks about the man holding his lady close because she's frightened about going up there in this high, and they're going up almost to heaven. And they're looking out over all the countries down there, seeing Germany, and they're seeing Dahomey, and they're seeing all these different countries. So they emphasize that. The next one, it's even a little bit more frightening for the woman. She's turning white, and they're moving up in this motion, and so he holds her close, that kind of stuff. And then one of them says, then at the end we come back down to the earth and all its debts. Okay, the other, well, I guess, yeah, I'll let you hold this up. Everybody probably has the maps of the fair and stuff, but this one somebody just gave to me recently. And I noticed, I don't know how many of you know, I guess there was a lot of companies and so on who distributed these maps, because there actually is a map there, but it's mostly all advertising for the Brown College. It's for stenographers and typists and business people. So, I mean, now you've probably all seen the map, but then again, when you flip it over, that's me, which I thought was kind of interesting.
full of advertisements for the Brown College, which was in Bloomington, Illinois, and then they had other places, Brown v. State, that said at the end of some place it says about they're going to open one in St. Louis. Then there's also photos on, well, not photos, just depictions of them in the southwest corner of the education building. And then there's a picture, there was on one of these where the women are sitting there at tables. I don't know if they got typewriters or whatever. But I just thought it was full, just full of information about Brown College. And I think full information that it existed from 1893 to 1972. So, but I just, to me, like I said, I have another map and it has nothing on it. But this one was just, like I said, evidently, I don't know how many other companies may have handed out maps with their advertising. But I thought this was kind of cool. You learn something else while you're looking on the other side of the map.
Fantastic. Those are neat. All right, next. Carol Ann Miller with a tip plate. Big question mark.
I'm not sure what this is, Mike.
You gotta get up to the microphone.
I will. This
That's a tip tray
tip tray, okay,
with ribald humor.
okay. I was just kind of looking through all my stuff and I saw this in my china cabinet and it's a tip tray. And what's happening is that a little boy is shining the shoes of a beautiful lady. And of course her skirt is up because she has her black stockings on. And the caption is, "It's a shame to take the money." And I thought that was really cute, so, but I thought, well, that was good. And, but I've had that for a long time. And then I brought also a pin that is for the, what is it, the dedication?
Gotta,
Oh,
you're in the way of the camera.
sorry, dedication, 1903. And it's what is the building?
Yeah, liberal arts building.
Liberal Arts Building. And I have another pin that is really interesting, but, and I've shown different things over the years and my grandmother's diary and all. And, right now I don't know where I put it. I put it somewhere safe, but I can't find it. And you know how that is? You put things and you think, okay, this is going to be the best place for this. Okay. So, and then of course I have to have one joke. Okay. What is a cat's favorite summertime treat? A mice cream cone. I had to do that. Yeah. So, okay. That's all that I have. Okay. So can I just?
On my screen.
I know, I had to do it. Okay.
All right, next up, Ron Snowden. Sunnybrook Whiskey Decanter in Clarksville Cider Glass.
So this is from Sunnybrook Distillery, and the Ferris wheel at the fair was surrounded by, on the west side was the Falstaff Inn, where you could get a Falstaff for 5 cents draft. And then south was the Sunnybrook built a distillery at the fair. And next door to that was the Blatz Pavilion. And this shows that they were awarded the grand prize. And this one shows that they were awarded the gold medal. So I don't know if they had two different whiskeys there or just the one whiskey that won 2 prizes. And then the second item was Clarksville Cider Company, St. Louis, Missouri. They had a cave on 2nd Street that held 180,000 gallons of cider. And they had 9 different locations on the pike where they gave this glass with the cider in it. And the glass was complimentary. And they won a gold medal for their cider and a gold medal for their vinegar. But what's really interesting about these glasses is if you take a black light to them, they turn green, turns green. Got uranium in it. And so there's thousands of these out there. There's right now I checked, there's 4 on eBay, and the cheapest one is $10. So you could get yourself a cider.
It's radioactive.
Yeah, it's radioactive, yes. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Ron. All right, next. Larry Strasburger. Hope I got that right. Class.
I want you to tell me about this thing. This is a glass axe.
Step over here so you can be on the screen.
Go over here, so I'll be on.
Yeah, this is
camera.
a big
How do I
TV
do it?
production.
Back up towards
Back
the chair. There you go.
All right, I got a glass axe, and it's marked 1803 emblem of peace and prosperity, and then it says 1904. And engraved on the thing is the name of Mrs. A. Anderson. You tell me about it. I got where we got Josie got it from you guys as a door prize. But I think it was neat. But does anybody know anything about it?
Glass axe souvenir sold at the fair.
By some company? Well, what's this? 1803 emblem of peace and prosperity, 1904. What's that mean?
1903 was when the Louisiana Purchase started, the Louisiana Exposition.
Yeah.
And the World's Fair was delayed to
And- yeah, and-
1904, and that was just,
Okay, so
Commemorative piece.
it says St. Louis World's Fair on it. Something that does amaze me about it, what technology did they have back then to make this A. Anderson? It's like one of those vibrating pins.
yes.
But did we have AC electricity then?
Well,
Or most of the
There
world
was
at
a
that
pipe.
time was Edison DC.
I think they had little Dremel type tools, like a dentist drill that would,
It has to vibrate. To
vibrate or turn, just like
Oh,
the
maybe a
engraving on
turn.
a Ruby
Okay,
Flash.
okay. I was thinking like they got them today where it oscillates due to the AC current. But back then I know the world was DC because, I learned that at Rankin.
Chicago World's Fair was.
It was, and that was before the
that was
St.
before
Louis,
that
so,
was-
okay. I don't know. Tell me. Okay. Well. Okay, all right. Well, that's all, that's answer some questions about it. I have seen them on eBay, but they don't tell you anything about it. It's a glass axe from the World's Fair.
Mhm.
And it's as much as I just said, but, okay, somebody did try to chop some wood with it and chipped it. Apparently it didn't work well.
It didn't come with instructions that said not to chop wood.
Well, apparently not. What does like me never read the instructions?
All right, thank you. Next up, the Phil Taxman with a photo and photo frame and match set, large trays, or match set, large tray. There you go. Right about. Right back to. Right here. There you go.
Okay,
Now
so-
you're just perfect in this.
All right, so this is a paper mache frame. And there was several of them in the series, and we're lucky to have someone else brought a whole series over there, because I haven't seen very many of them. They're in very good shape. Each one had different flowers on it. One might have roses and poppies, another one dogwood. And these were at the fair, and they have a stand on the back. What's interesting about this one is, pull out the photo. I don't know if we can see it, the impression, it actually has a photographer who took it, and I believe it says Blanchard W. Brooks, photographer, Washington Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri, World's Fair 1904. Doesn't tell you who the picture is of. But it says this picture finished in 10 minutes. So it must have been like the Polaroid of the time. All right. All right. That's quite a handsome guy. All right. So then I brought match set of trays. There's only 2 in this series. And so these start off, they have Napoleon and Jefferson on each side. Jefferson's over here. Napoleon's on the other side. Lewis and Clark on the top. It has the horses going around, trains on the side, 1803 to 1903 for Louisiana, 100th anniversary of Louisiana Purchase. And this one is Indian Brave in a canoe. And this is the one you see a little bit more often than the other tray. These are just metal. This is the one that's hard to get, or I've seen less of. It's Indian maiden with a slain elk. All right, so down here you can see the elk on the bottom. And I don't know what these would have been used for or anything like that. I would imagine they were just a souvenir sold at the fair, but
Glass axes were on those.
yeah, glass axes. You could refer them on it. But they're actually they're multicolored lithos, is what the description is on metal. And that's it.
Thank you, Phil.
Great. Those are worth a lot.
These?
Yeah.
And
At
they're twice
auction.
as much if you have the set.
All right, Dan Bortreat, pins and a pillbox.
Here, and I'll show them if you want.
There.
The dotted where the line is.
Yeah, we didn't put a line.
So I take a different look at the fair. I take a look at the fair as it was really magnificent. And if I had the chance to go to the fair, what would I shop for? Because I figured I probably wouldn't have a lot of money in my pocket. So I would really want something that's really neat that I could treasure forever and ever. So these items have come from, I recently acquired, have come from the collection of Jerry Miller. Thankful for Jerry letting me. A lot of people know that I'm into music and trains and cats and shells and some other things. But so these pins are, I believe, made of mother of pearl. And when I chose them from his collection, one has an F on it, one has an M, and the other one has an E. So I was thinking if I were at the fair and I saw these, I would probably choose one for my grandmother, Margaret, one for my mom, Barbara Elizabeth, and one for my grandmother who was an artist of Florence Barbara. And the little hat, it just was absolutely adorable, and I just couldn't even imagine how they could make something so small way back then. And the pillbox with the fleur-de-lis, to carry something as exquisite as that in my pocket after the fair, if I were there, I think it would just be absolutely phenomenal, let alone be at the fair. So, anyway.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
all right. Next up, Aaron Steeple. 4 Hold Delight postcards and frames.
Gary Miller told me today, gotta take something different in case somebody else says what you brought. So what, I didn't listen. So, this, picture is of my grandma and grandpa, but they were married in 1903. We know they went to the fair. We know that that's his diamond stud on his, tie, that's right there that my mother then got, as a wedding ring later on. And so there were Selma and Eugene Stiefel. And my sister, she's my older sister, Marcia. She's a member, and she came from Nashville to this. So anyway, the picture is actually just one we have, and then I made it, fit the frame. Okay, but they did go there. And then this one is what I call the wannabes. That's myself and my wife, Alice. This picture was taken at a famous bar, 1970. And Alice, we know the date because Alice was pregnant with Elizabeth. So she was standing like this so that you couldn't see that. And then our daughter was born on April Fool's Day. But it's like people who wanted to go to the fair but weren't there. And you can see the handsome guy with the mustache. And over there, I didn't bring it, but over there's one later on. The picture inside is us, at Lake of the Ozarks, getting our family picture taken when our kids were real little. So I didn't want to take up too much time and show you that close up, but somebody's going to do that anyway. So there's my mustache got bigger, and there's Alice and Elizabeth and Rebecca in the frame. So I thought it was kind of fun to do that with and then I brought this.
I'll take your microphone.
Oh.
So I don't handle
Oh, yeah.
prized possessions.
So that's, I don't know.
Well,
how it goes. Okay. So first I want you to show it like it is, and then so these are 4 hold to light pictures. And that Jerry Miller, you mentioned him, he can do anything. I was going to bring the battering ram, the 5-foot long World's Fair in a nutshell he did for me, where you can't display things because it's so hard to display pictures and right. But when you do it in a frame, it's preserved and it's displayed. So he had these and I thought, that's so cool. They're hold to light and they were mine. And I saw him where he did them. So what I do, I have this one and another one I bought from Sharon, a big one of the big hold to light, and I have them behind a door. And when people come from the tour, the last thing they see is the fair.
There's switchback.
It's right there. There's the one. So just, so at the last thing to do, as I say, then they turned off, off the light, you know, of the, I mean, it got dark and he does, he can make anything frame, at his picture framing shop. But it's so fun because people just go, oh, it's kind of neat behind the door. So anyway, there they are.
Thank you, Karen.
Leave that there for a moment.
Oh.
I want you to imagine those postcards instead of the regular size, 6 by 9 inches. That's the large jumbo hold to light size. Mark Eisenberg, 20 odd years ago at auction, bidding against some other members who either graciously or with prompting dropped out, acquired a set of 5 of those large hold to lights in a frame that's about this tall, with each of the 5 large hold to lights framed and illuminated in a similar fashion. That was just a little bit too much to bring. I had a lot of other stuff to bring, but he also donated that to the society. And I'm undecided whether to put the Bennett book and that up for auction come next summer. Maybe Jerry might want to take a look at it and kind of update it a little bit, but it's kind of neat having it in a, 25-year-old frame or more that he won at auction, as a tribute to his legacy.
Right, next up, Linda Debiar. Small coin purse, pillbox, and pin and button. Yeah.
Well, I need the one. So I brought several items from the Debbie Art collection. One of them is, Mike, you want to start with the little coin purse? It looks like it is made of mother of pearl material of some sort. A souvenir, St. Louis, 1904. With some flowers painted on it. So that was really neat. And then
Open it up.
be careful when you open it. It's a coin purse. There's no money in it. No coin. That's one of the items we found. And then there's a little pillbox. It looks like it has the Louisiana Purchase monument on the front of it. It says St. Louis 1904. There. Thought that was kind of interesting. And then the last item from the collection I found fascinating. It is a pin with a fleur-de-lis, and I believe it says a Missouri State Medical Association on one side with the Red Cross and the date. But the back is really fascinating. So if you turn that over and show everybody the back, I thought that was really interesting. Universal Exposition, St. Louis, 1904. Woman holding the map and Anita the pen. So those are my items.
Thank you, Linda.
I have a question for members in the audience. You said you thought this was a pillbox. I've seen this sold with a set of 5 coins with embossed, tokens with buildings on both sides of the coins. And they fit in perfectly.
You mean we're missing the coins? Somebody took them?
But I've seen it, well, this is the first one I think I've seen in brass, more commonly seen in aluminum.
No, I think the boxes are mostly in brass because most of those tokens
Okay.
are gold colored. Gilded.
You.
And if you put them on
I've
the
only
table.
seen one that actually.
All right, we're down to the last show and tell. Mike Truax.
This is going to be interesting and a challenge and an homage. I wanted to pay tribute to the society over the last 20 or wanted to pay tribute to the last society over the last 30 odd years of show and tell. And I wanted to show something that was passed on to me. And, you know, it's really,
Careful not to drop it. That doesn't sound good.
Chair, what did you say? Okay, come here and tell me about that story. Come here, come here.
Max was, going show and tell.
Right into the mic.
He was he was doing show and tell years ago. And he brought a bag and he was very careful to open it carefully and then he dropped it. And everybody did like he did. And it was broken glass. He just did it as a Love that.
Well, to Max, I'm not sure when or how. Little round of applause, yes, for Max. This is in fact a beer stein, a World's Fair beer stein that somewhere along the way got damaged or broke, and I ended up with the bits and pieces. So I thought I'd try to kind of do something and see if y'all reacted about the same, right? You know, that was really kind of neat. There you go. I also want to pay a tribute to the society over the years. I went and looked at our listing, and I think we've gone to the Muni at least 5 times since 1986. Muni used to show Meet Me in St. Louis about every 5 or 7 years, and someone would arrange for a bunch of us to go. I think one time we had about 60 people go in the early 1912 era or so, or 2012 or so. And the shirt I'm wearing is from 2018, when Dan Fuller organized our trip to the Muni, and we get a backstage tour, and we got a dinner, and Dan surprised us all with T-shirts. And so I thought I'd wear that to homage. I wanted to do a little bit of show off some advertising. The fair had a lot to advertise, and one of the things they put a lot of advertising on was posters, because a lot of people drank beer. How many people know who won the grand prize for beer? Oh, yeah, I know you know. You're a brewery guy. Who won, Ron? The Indianapolis Brewing Company.
They still in business?
Oops. And I'll zoom that out a little bit. Always lift it up and angle it a little bit one way or another. That's a large coaster. Here's another one from St. Louis Exposition, gold medal for, Doug, you're gonna have to read the small print on the label there.
Gold seal, special dry. That's gotta be good.
And another one from the American Can Company, who made a lot of metal tin cans and stuff like that, candy containers, etc. And probably one of the most common was Red Raven Splits, Ask the Man. And I'm not sure if this was booze or for afterwards, like Alka-Seltzer. But that was a real popular beverage and advertising back in 1904. Phil, do you know a little bit more about that? Okay. Well, I'm so glad that who brought the postcards to share? Was that Steve? And he showed the set of 7 or 8 postcards from the Blank or Blanky Publishing Company, which was an overprint on a bunch of early postcards from the fair. And if you know your fair buildings and how it was built and how the buildings changed between 1902, when they first got drawn out, and 1904, when they got finished, a lot of buildings changed a little bit. That's a whole nother program I won't go into. One of the first advertisements, though, done in the monthly World's Fair Bulletin back in 1901 was done and sponsored by Blanky for that aerial globe. And that aerial globe was going to be taller than the arch at one point. It was going to have a huge round globe that would contain most of the fair on multi-levels. It would have a zoo and a theater that seats 3,000 people in it, on one level, et cetera, all in one structure. Problem is, it would take more steel output to make something like that than the United States could produce in about 4 or 5 years. And it would take at least 4 or 5 years to make something like that. So when that didn't happen and they proceeded with the wood frame and staff to get it done in 2 years, Blanky and Freedy tried to sell it to Coney Island. And, you know, they, as Steve said, they started pouring a concrete foundation up on the beach or near the beach at Coney Island to build an aerial globe. And that never happened. It got found out that he was just running a con to build buildings. But back in 1901 or 2, they did advertisements on postcards, and I forgot to bring my postcard, so I'm glad you did bring it. And they also made containers. And they made a large container of baking soda. And you can show that. You can also unscrew the lid. But the
Just
lid
wanted to
does
make
come
sure
off.
it stayed.
And I did a short program about that. Zoom it out a little bit more. And I came across that from an on-site auction dealer about 5 or 6 months or so ago at a price that I always wanted one of those. And I thought it wasn't built for the fair and it wasn't really here, but it was an idea. And, you know, they had an idea back in 1900, 1901 that they could build anything and do anything and nothing impossible, et cetera. And that would have been so neat if they built something like that, but it wasn't to be. It just didn't make any sense, money-wise, et cetera. But that's a neat souvenir from the fair that wasn't. It kind of goes with the other advertising pieces and stuff from the fair because the fair was a big commercial for a whole lot of advertising. And I guess at this point, with all the different things, yeah, you can show that out. Does anybody have any questions or anything at this point? For me or for any of the others? David, anything online? I hope the sound was going out. We got most of the people still online. If we do, that means the sound is probably going out. And Doug, you've covered everybody?
Everybody.
Well, I want to just say thank you to Doug because between helping me try to get this all set up and we had our challenges and I think we've met them and we finished up in a little over an hour. We started just a little bit late with the technical difficulties we had. But for the people taking photographers, Miss Jessie, and anybody else, the items I think are on display on the tables after, you know, for afterwards and browsing. We'd love to hear more of your stories. Does anybody else have any stories to tell about the items or stuff from the fair? Yes, Bill.
I recently was down in New Mexico, and we went from Santa Fe down to Truth or Consequences, which is a great little town with a good big history, and also probably the best hot springs in the entire United States. And they have a little museum there called the Geronimo Museum. You go in that museum, and there up on the wall are pictures of Geronimo at the St. Louis World Fair, and it's posted there, St. Louis World Fair. So a lot of times we go places, and you run into things far away. And not so far away, just 2 weeks ago, I was on a car tour with St. Louis Classic Car Clubs, and out in St. Charles, we had a tour of the Missouri Meerschaum factory, and inside their lobby and their entryway, they have a big display that was at the 1904 World's Fair in the Industrial Palace of all their corncob pipes. So if you're out in St. Charles, just walk into the Missouri Meerschaum building and you can see a wonderful display from the 1904 World Fair. Martin? They're called Missouri Meerschaum, the corncob pipes.
In Washington, Missouri.
In Washington, Missouri, right on Front Street, and wonderful. It's a very large display. I would say it's probably 4 foot by 20 foot on 3 different boards.
Yes. Okay, that is one thing I didn't know how many people were gonna be, and I wanted to get into this since I was running late. Do we have any new members here tonight who first time? Yes, could you stand up, introduce yourself and tell us how you found us?
Hi, I'm Catherine Miserati, and I remember several years ago, I don't know how many years ago, we had some kind of table up at the Fair Pavilion, World's Fair Pavilion. I don't know what festival was going on or whatever,
Oh, the FARE.
and you had a really nice display, and I remember talking to you folks, it was very interesting. I just kind of, drifted off into my life. But then I went to the History Museum not too long ago and saw that, and I thought, oh, but.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And this is your very first meeting. Well, a double thank you. I hope you enjoy it and keep coming back and,
I feel very intimidated by all the knowledge.
well, a lot of us have been around in this thing for 20 or more years. For example, the Washington, Missouri thing, we had a report and a sighting. I think it was by Carol Diaz-Granados that went through there, took some pictures, and we wrote a bulletin article. So, Bill, if you're so inclined, we did have a sighting by a man who lives in Colorado who went through Raton, New Mexico, in a display case, who found a enameled, shapely hardware tin cup in between the floors in the rafters from when they expanded about 70 years ago. That was one of the more amazing things I think I've ever seen, but I've never heard about that Geronimo Museum. That would be interesting to hear about.
I have photographs.
You have photographs.
I have photographs of the Washington.
It was Barb Cook.
Oh, it was Barb Cook that saw that? Okay. Yes, another new member in the back. You want to come up and talk into the microphone? Would you mind? So everybody can hear you good, and hopefully the people out in stand right about here will pick up on camera too.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So my name is Kathleen Fleck. I am a professor at St. Louis U, and I'm an art historian. And I've started on a research project in the last several months, working on the Jerusalem concession. My research like in the last 20 years, has actually been about medieval art. And I've researched and written books about Jerusalem and the historic Jerusalem. And so I've always been curious. I've lived in St. Louis for 20 years. And I said, when I finished my most recent book, about 2 years ago, I was going to look at the St. Louis concession because I found out that there was a Jerusalem concession here. And so I've started research trying to find out how close it was to the original, what they were trying to do through that concession, etc. I'm really in the beginning of my research, got a long way to go. But any ideas or information or trinkets, etc., you know about, I'd be happy to learn about them. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. She and I have been communicating via email a little bit, helping her out to find some of the good references about Jerusalem and some good leads, and hopefully that's working to your advantage. Anybody else, new member? Yes, Steve? Okay, I don't know if anybody on Zoom heard that. Zoom is shaking their head no. I'm going to summarize in 20 seconds or less that Steve was antiquing over in Illinois, and Pocahontas went to an antique store. He knows the lady, and they got talking about the fair, and she said, I've got some of these little Weller plaques. Are they greenish or reddish? You really can't tell. Okay. Okay, because there were both some green jasperware plaques, I think, that Weller made, and also some, little red circular things. The green ones, or the green ones came both in jasperware with white layered buildings, 6 of them, I think. And then there were also a bunch of molded pieces of presidents, David R. Francis, an Indian, Uncle Sam, things like that. They were all about, I'd say 5 inches in diameter. I don't know that if they were giveaways, that's interesting. I wish they had given some to one of my ancestors. But if you have pictures of that and want to share them and write a little story, I know someone who would like to talk to you about it. Any other new people or people who haven't been here in a long time, or people who found something that they hadn't thought about or seen or heard before? Okay, we have begun putting more details in the bulletin and on our email announcements going out. So I want to do a quick overview of our future meetings. On Monday, September 18th, we'll have a new meeting, new novels about the World's Fair. The meeting will be held right here in University City at 6:30 p.m. and on Zoom, and we hope we can do a little bit better job with our sound. Steve and I will try to, or Doug and I will try to work that out a little bit. 4 authors will tell us about their new books, and for a first time at a library, we'll be able to sell the book. The authors will be able to sell the books to you. Normally, you can't sell things or have any money transactions at libraries. On Tuesday, October 8th, 2024, at 7 p.m., and the reason it's a little later, we're gonna have a special Zoom-only meeting, so you can stay at home for that meeting. Nathan Schroeder from Los Angeles has spent hundreds of hours modeling Art Hill and the Grand Basin structures, and he'll take us on a virtual tour of the 1904 Grand Basin. You'll see the Grand Basin with light posts and detailed statuary, Art Hill and the Cascades with more detailed statuary and columns, Festival Hall, and the colonnades and both restaurant pavilions, virtually, from ground level looking up, from aerial views looking down, et cetera, et cetera. Some of us got together with him a few weeks ago and saw a preview of that, and it's really impressive. We'll record that and make it available afterwards too. Then on Tuesday, October 22nd at 11 a.m. at the History Museum, charter member Charles Kaler, who's out there online, will present Hidden in Plain Sight, LGBTQ+ aspects of the 1904 World's Fair. This presentation explores the hidden and untold historical intersection between 2 major History Museum exhibits, Gateway to Pride, which just opened recently, and the 1904 World's Fair exhibit, which has just been updated back on April 30th. On Thursday, November 14th at 6:30 at Booter Library, Jan Green will present a new updated program of women at the fair. And finally, we will close our anniversary and Olympic year on Sunday, December 1st, 2024. We're considering 2 locations right now, and I want to take a quick survey. Raise your hand if you went to Glen Echo. Okay, and I'm assuming that most of you people that went to Glen Echo also have been to Probstein Golf Course at some time in the past number of years. So of you people who have been both places, I'd like you to raise your hand if you like Probstein better or Glen Echo better, assuming the prices are about the same, because we want to be aware of the prices and not have to charge an arm and a leg. So if you've been to both places, vote for one or the other. If you like Probstein better, raise your hand. I see about 4 people going up. If you like Glen Echo better, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, this is just a quick informal survey of a portion of the society. The board is still considering that to figure out, what's the best thing considering parking, potential weather, meals, and pricing. And will be one of those two places. We're also, just in the formative stages of working out the program, the entertainment, meals, and stuff like that on this. If you'd like to help us out with contacting people and make your inputs known, please contact any board member with your inputs. Board members, please raise your hand. There's 2 more in back, 2 up here. Nan and Linda, and I guess Mary Ellen maybe needed a refresher break. Oh, I think everybody knows Sharon Mercer. She is the one that kind of not a board member, but really keeps the society going with the membership roster, getting the bulletins. Imagine every month getting a box of 320 bulletins and having to mail them. And that's after several people, including Jana, our bulletin editor, myself, and Larry, have all taken and reviewed and tried to make things as good as we can and as right as we can to get it out in the mail to you in time for upcoming meetings and stuff. So a round of applause for Jana.
There's 2 weeks so we can get out of here. But people have time.
I want to say about Sharon that after the bulletin is read 4 or 6 times by me, Larry and Mike, Sharon is still capable of opening it, a glaring mistake on the first page immediately. So she deserves a great deal of credit.
I don't know if you noticed on this month's bulletin that I had to do a bunch of rescheduling of the Wednesday meetings to another day, and we got them right on the calendar, and they're correct on all the meetings are on the website, by the way, that David puts them on the website. And another board member over here, I forgot to mention David, but we missed changing it in the headline there. So that's why you saw the pen and ink change. And thanks to you both for spending the extra time on that.
Sharon.
Does anybody have any other questions or inputs or suggestions for us? How many people brought things to show and share again? Raise your hands. That's great. I want to thank you all. A round of applause for all of you that brought something. Drive home safely. Please leave your things on the table for about 5 or 10 minutes so people can go look at them and ask questions and take pictures. And Doug is signaling me with the name.
Before we go too much longer, we
Yes.
need to do this so we can look at the things on the table.
Yes. I'm going to call 5 names. Linda Davier. David Stovey. Come on down. You can pick one of the pins right here and then stand, and Cher's going to take a picture, or do you want it by the flag? Judy Deeker. Justin Zeed. Josie Strasburger. And I think that's the 5. And Doug, if you want to hit the light switch up, probably take a better picture. Where do you want to share?
turn off
On the dark wall?
Either wall, the white wall or the dark wall.
Okay. Anybody else want to take pictures? Okay, with that, with the pictures being taken, you can get up and look at the displays and thank all those who brought stuff. And thank you all for coming. And we're about an hour and 20 minutes, so relatively short meeting. Thank you all for coming. Drive home safely, and we'll see you next month.
Bye.
Just speaking with microphone. Here's a.
Ladies, gentlemen, before you leave, I have some free t-shirts. The older t-shirts I've grown out of, I've gotten smaller, I have some large, some extra large. So if you want one, take one, they're yours to have.
Oh, Jack. Now,
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you.
that would be neat. You don't need to do any more. Phil yourself will tell you. They're also intended